And we have an update in the Village Roadshow Entertainment Group bankruptcy. Welcome back again to Bankruptcy with Ben. And we've been tracking a lot of the high profile bankruptcy filings that have been um, occurring on a near daily basis. And one of them was the Village Roadshow, which was an independent Hollywood producer, but independent as they may be, they actually produced a lot of um, high profile feature films such as Joker, Ocean's 11, The Matrix, and many more. Now, one of the things that caused this bankruptcy, at least according to the Village Roadshow, is they had had a long-standing partnership with Warner Bros. In which they co-financed, they co-produced, and they co-owned a number of major films. Village Roadshow provided funding and production. Warner Bros. Handled global marketing and distribution. The relationship went sour. We'll see why in a second. Now, the Village Roadshow files for bankruptcy, and they say, what do we want to do in bankruptcy? We want to sell our assets. As we saw last time, their assets consist of, among other things, intellectual property, but this video library, all the shows that they've produced and created, so all the different rights to those shows. And they want to sell it, and essentially they want to use the proceeds from the sale to repay everyone they owe money to, and that's how they're going to get out of it, and that's going to be their long-term solution, is just sell themselves, take the money, repay the creditors, whoever the individuals were that were behind the company are just going to have to start over. So let's take a look at this article because there's some interesting news which I wanted to share with everybody. Okay, from Screen Daily, Stalking Horse bid for Village Roadshow Entertainment Group library set at $417.5 million. Stalking horse, what does that mean? Are we in a racetrack? So I had no idea when I first started practicing what a stalking horse was either. It's one of these fancy terms. How they came up with the name, beyond me. All it means really is an opening bid. So if you want to sell assets of a company in bankruptcy, you can market it and you can tell everybody, hey, we're going to sell this. Now, there's two ways to go about the sale. You either just sell it directly to one person, or you have an auction. In order to get the sale approved, the bankruptcy court wants it to be very open and transparent process. They're trying to avoid things like where you sell it to your next door neighbor for $5 and then, you get to retain all your ownership of the company, and it's a sham sale done just to screw over your creditors. So they're trying to prevent all that. So one of the requirements is it's subject to what's called higher and better offers. Higher and better offers means that you can always start off going into contract with somebody. For example, let's say you want to sell your house. So you go through a marketing process. You have a broker, you list it in all sorts of different, MLS, you put a for sale sign on top in front of the house, and people come, they look at the house. Eventually somebody says, okay, I want to buy it. How much do you want to buy it for? 1 million. Great. Okay, here's a contract of sale for 1 million. And then you eventually close and they buy the house. So in bankruptcy, the way it works is you do all that stuff to begin with. But then once you have the contract in place for $1 million, you then say, okay, now that we have this contract, that all that means is that's kind of the minimum bid. We're still going to go to auction. We're still going to market the property. We're still going to solicit this property from other potential suitors and give other people an opportunity to put in higher bids. And if no one puts in a higher bid, then that original proposed purchaser gets it. So that first purchaser is called a stalking horse. They enter into a contract. They say, okay, in this case, they're going to say it will buy it for $417.5 million. And that means if no one submits a bid higher than $417.5 million, then this stalking horse bidder will be awarded the contract and they will be able to purchase the assets of the Village Roadshow. Now, one interesting thing is, okay, what if somebody comes in for $417.6 million? Does that count? No, that's ridiculous. There's always going to be, at least a minimum up bid. So they'll say, okay, you bid $400 million to keep the number simple, meaning the next minimum up bid has to be at least $425 million, or else it doesn't count. So you can't come in and say, I'm only going to bid $401 million. That doesn't count. And that's done to keep things, moving, make sure you have actual serious buyers and not, you could spend an enormous amount of money on holding an auction and marketing to different people for only $1 million more. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, so that's the overview. That's the background. Now, a U.S. judge on Tuesday approved a stalking horse bid, again, the opening bidder, at $417 million from Alcone Entertainment for the library of the Village Roadshow Entertainment Group. So, who is Alcone Entertainment? We don't have a lot of information. Presumably, they're another entertainment company, maybe another producer. The Delaware Bankruptcy Court said the amount is the lowest acceptable for the assets, meaning, again, this is the minimum, the floor, so to speak. You can't get lower than that. It has to be at least $417 million to buy it. And the assets include 108 feature films, including the Matrix franchise, so all the Matrix movies, Joker and all the Joker movies, and exceeds the $365 million offer tabled by content partners. So there'd been a previous offer. We don't know yet what happened to that offer, why it didn't go through, but their offer did not go through, and now we're up to $417 million. And the library, these assets are said to generate $50 million a year. So if you're thinking about generating $50 million a year, $417 million, about 8 years or so, you'll make it back. You break even. So there's some kind of calculation going into their bid. Obviously, they probably think they can generate even a lot more than $50 million a year. Otherwise, it doesn't sound like the numbers quite add up. But again, that's up to this bidder. If they want to bid $1 billion, that's up to them. They can bid $1 billion if they want. They might end up in bankruptcy themselves, like we saw with Rite Aid, but that's their problem. Now, interested parties have until May 16th to submit a rival bid, meaning it's not going to go on forever, right? So they say, okay, everybody, you have the stalking horse, the lowest bidder, the minimum bidder, and we'll give you, let's say, a month or so. And if nobody gives a competing bid in another month, then this person gets it. If there's more than one bid, then they're going to hold an auction, right? So if there's only this one bid, then it goes to this first stalking horse. If you have a higher bid, then they say, okay, it doesn't automatically go to the next highest bidder. Rather, okay, well, now we have an auction, and the auction minimum bidding at the auction is set by that person or whoever that group is that came in with that intermediate bid, with that one higher bid. Now, interestingly enough, who might also be bidding? Warner Bros. So Warner Bros. Apparently really liked something about the Village Roadshow because they did business with them for all those years, and now they're contemplating even submitting a bid to buy them, but they obviously don't want to deal with them in their current state. There's probably a lot of bad blood between whoever the executives are working at the Village Roadshow and certain groups of people probably at Warner Bros., but they said, we'll just take it over and then we'll own it. Warner Bros. Ownership stakes in those films range from 15 to 50%. If they were to prevail at auction, it would own the films in their entirety. So right now, Warner Bros. Has a percentage of those sales, right? A percentage of those films. So at its lowest point, it gets 15%, meaning only 85% of the profits, let's just say, generated would go to the Village Roadshow and 15% to Warner Bros. And now we continue. The bankruptcy filing is the latest episode in a list of struggles since the pandemic. Again, everything's going back to being blamed on the pandemic. 5 years already post-pandemic, still, we see it all the time, pandemic is being blamed. Is it actually the real reason, or is it just a convenient excuse? Probably a mixture of both. It definitely did not help things, but is that the sole cause of the struggles of businesses 5 years out? Probably not. It is an ongoing arbitration with Warner Bros. After it sued the studio for breach of contract in February 2022 for releasing The Matrix Resurrections simultaneously in cinemas and on HBO Max. So this is what they were not happy with. It came out on HBO Max at the same time that it was released in theaters. So that seems like kind of contradictory. If it's going to be in theaters and on HBO Max, why are people going to go to the theaters? They can just watch it at home on HBO Max. That seems to defeat the purpose of the theaters. Now, granted, some people still might like to have the theater experience, but you're almost competing against yourself if you do it that way. And that's obviously what Village Roadshow was not happy about. That's what precipitated the litigation to begin with. And then once that started, things snowballed. In December, the Writers Guild of America, they're the union representing the writers, and they issued a stop work order to the Village Roadshow and made late payments to writers, meaning the writers who were writing all these scripts were not getting paid on time. So the union says, okay, no more work. Stop doing work until you actually get paid. And then in January, the CEO left. So a lot of bad things happening for the Village Roadshow. And that's why they're in bankruptcy. So it's just another interesting twist. Let's see what happens with this stalking horse bidder. Let's see who wins. Is it going to be Warner Bros? Is it going to be a completely new company? Would it even be a new group that's you can even have the same individuals could theoretically still own it. They could form a new group and buy their own company out of bankruptcy. We've seen that before many times. Century 21, for example, the same group of people that bought it out were the same group of people that had owned it to begin with. It still has to be a transparent process, go through the bankruptcy court. Everything has to have the blessing of the bankruptcy court, but it's an interesting development. Let's see where it takes us. And until next time, stay tuned. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see everybody on the next one.